right? All this stuff is complaint driven. You can do whatever you want to, and if your neighbors, if no one complains about it, no one knows about it, you're fine.
In Klamath Falls, I'm supposed to be getting an offer on a listing that I have there, and they want to write an offer on this property. Home was built in 2006. It's R2 zoning. It's like 2.3 acres, but there's no permits for it. It was like a manufactured home or something before. The home was removed, then they built, been in contract 3 times, and one of the times it fell out because the appraiser went out there and was like, hey, there's no permits for this. So is there anything that can be done? And these people want it, and like I'm gonna tell them today, hey, here's what happened. You know, should I just write it up contingent on the appraisal?
Where are the seller's disclosures? I'd ask for the disclosures. Got to talk to Klamath County. Say, hey, what are the consequences? Because they can red tag it, basically like staple something to the door that says this place is uninhabitable. So that would be probably the risk, and that'll happen. Like they'll condemn it, right? They have no idea, right? Building safety department, the building department, they're all about building safety. Nothing was inspected. They don't know whether or not it's safe to occupy. So you may need to figure out what would be required to get it legit, or like, hey, are you guys aware of this? Are you going to cause us any problems? Like, will there be a red tagging or condemnation in the future? And if they're like, no, we're good, you're fine, then it's just the buyers need to know that. Because you could retro permit it, but you'd have to pull a lot of drywall off. They're going to want to inspect the electrical, the framing. They won't be able to inspect the foundation as far as like if there's rebar in it. There's just a lot of stuff. I mean, the house obviously has been sitting here for almost 17 years. They're the ones that need to talk to the county. You can get on the phone with them or you can go there with them, but you can't do that for them, right? Because the second you go to the county and then you give your buyers the information, you are now the source. You do not want to be the source. You need the authority to be the source. I think pre-1975, there weren't really building permits. So a house built in the 50s, house built in the 60s, there was no permit. So it was legal at the time, but what you're dealing with is something that was not legal at the time it was built. There was a permitting process in 2006. They didn't go through it. So that is not the same as being grandfathered in from something in the 50s.
My only thought on that was it's R2, so and I need to look at the zoning code, but isn't R5 if there was a manufacturer and it was pulled off, you could still build there without having to go through the county? So I'm wondering if R2 would be similar.
The home site approval is different from like a permitted dwelling. Yeah, rural residential 5, by that zoning, it has home site approval. So would like any SFR. Most zonings, like, yes, you can build a home on it, right? If you go buy a lot that's zoned single family 10, single family 6, multifamily 12, like, you can build on it. That's already been established through the fact that it's zoned that way. If it's zoned a resource district like FBAR, WR, which is forest or woodland resource, that doesn't mean you can build a house on it. You would have to get home site approval for that. And they go through like all these weird geometric equations to get there. Like they'll take a 200 foot by 50 foot rectangle and spin it on the property. And if that hits any other houses, then that home site isn't approved. Or if I'm hearing you right, the home was built without any permits, no certificate of occupancy. Yeah, so the county planning says, yeah, you can put a home there, but the building department may not be aware. Right, all this stuff is complaint driven. You can do whatever you want to, and if your neighbors, if no one complains about it, no one knows about it, you're fine. We built a house, the back porch was an afterthought. We're like, oh, we have a patio, we might as well just extend the roof line out to make it a covered porch. And then a neighbor took a picture of it and said it was 1 foot too close to the property line. Sent it to code enforcement, and then code enforcement wrote us a letter and said, hey, neighbor took this picture, we went out and investigated, and you are indeed within 5 feet of the property setback, so we had to cut a foot off of that roof. Now, no one would have ever said or done anything had it not been for a complaint. But if you complain about it, then they send code enforcement out. So they may not know about it if no one said anything. So that would be my first question. Like, hey, is the county aware of the current situation? And if they're not, that could be a whole sticky wicket. Like City of Central Point, if you convert a garage to living space without a permit from the City of Central Point, they will go condemn the house if they find out about it. They are very strict on that particular thing. They think it's a major health and safety issue, and they'll red tag your house. So they'll come and put a red sticker on your house and say you have to move out until you get this rectified. right? But then if you're in process, like, okay, we'll go down, we're working on it, then you're safe, right? So like in process, same thing with OSHA. If you're doing something dangerous, you're going to get in trouble from OSHA, right? Occupational Safe Healthy Administration or some shit. If you were doing something dangerous, but you were in process of making it safe, then you're all right. If you are out of compliance, but you're in process of getting into compliance with, a building department or a planning department, you're in a lot better shape.